Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Penovich. It is Tuesday now, December 16th. Man, Christmas is getting closer and closer every day, guys. Not too far away from us. We are with you live tonight from our live Weather Impact studio here, talking about a big turnaround in temperatures. I think that was the number one thing people noticed today, and actually felt more typical for this time of year. Not crazy warm and not crazy cool, and we're going to see a lot of extremes coming up over the next 7 days. So just if you like warm weather, you're going to love this, but I think it might be a little too warm for some of us. Let's start with satellite radar because still got clear skies. That's the good news. Not a lot going on in our area, but I can already see our big next weather maker. It's this system over Texas. You can see the clouds and the rain developing. That is going to be heading our way tomorrow in the form of clouds first, and then the rain's going to come in. So Thursday, we're looking at some soggy weather moving in, but just in the past 24 hours. So we show you this graphic. This is the 24-hour temperature change from 6:31 tonight till 6:31 last night. And so we are 16 degrees warmer in Charlotte, 12 degrees warmer in Jefferson. At one point today, we had 15 to 20 degree temperature change in just 24 hours. So our current temperatures, yes, it's cool. It's 50 in Charlotte, but some areas are even colder. Upper 30s already in Lincolnton, mid 40s. This is kind of typical with clear skies, dry air. You get a lot of low spots cool off quicker than higher spots, so a little bit of elevation helps you out. So here in Charlotte, we've got, called uptown for a reason. It is a little bit warmer, and the urban heat island helps out, but you can see outlying areas cooling off quicker. But we do have southwest winds, so that southwest flow is going to keep us milder tonight. High today, 55. Right on schedule for this time of year. That's our average high for this date. 28 this morning. That's below our average low of 35. So a little bit below this morning. And tonight will be pretty close to average again, down the low 30s. So still near freezing. Cold start, certainly, but not nearly as cold as the past two nights, especially Monday morning. So your wake-up weather tomorrow morning, the bus stop, heading out to work or school. Temperatures generally in the 30s, some clouds out there. Sunrise again, 7:25. Getting later until we get to the solstice. That sunrise gets later and later, even though the sunsets are starting to get later and later as well. So we're starting to see a little bit more daylight in the evening, not so much in the morning. So if you're an early riser, you know what I'm talking about. You're probably going to work in the dark or twilight at the very least. Tomorrow, 60 degrees. Some low 60s out there, but if we had full sunshine, I think we'd be in the mid-60s tomorrow because that's how much warmer the flow is, the atmosphere is. It's just that those high clouds, they're going to act like a thin piece of paper or a sheet, just filtering out the sun enough, which isn't a lot of sun. 31-degree sun angle this time of year is not very high. It's the lowest we have all year. So if you don't get direct sun this time of year, it definitely can get cool. And I'll show you those clouds moving in our futurecast. You'll see them increasing from the southwest. Again, there'll be breaks. Some of it will be thin cloud cover. But as we get closer to Thursday, that's when I really see temperatures kind of staying pretty mild, but also a lot more clouds and eventually rain. Now, the rain is going to be heaviest late day and into the evening hours. So if you want to get something done outside on Thursday, best to do that first thing in the morning, or at least before lunchtime, as we're going to see clouds and showers developing throughout the day, even some thunderstorms distinctly possible as a cold front approaches from the north and west. And that cold front actually could bring us a rumble of thunder. Now, how much rain are we talking about? Don't get caught up in the specific location and numbers. Just get an idea of the amounts that are possible. If you look across our area, you've got some totals as high as 1.5 inches, some as low as 1/4 inch. This could shift east, west, north, south a little bit still. It's still Thursday into Friday. We've got a long ways to go. It's only Tuesday night right now. So potentially we could see that shift. Now, I talked about the extremes. We've had the 23rd coldest start to December on record through the first 15 days. So that's basically the first half. Second half of the month, it's like Mother Nature says, guess what? We're going to correct that in a hurry, and we're going to see much warmer temperatures for the second half. And these will be exaggerated because not only is it going to be warmer than average, but remember, our average high is still going down and our average low is still going down. The coldest part of winter is mid-January. So as temperatures are warming up, our averages are going down. So the departure from average actually gets exaggerated here the later we get in the month. So as we get towards the end of the month, this is Christmas and beyond, average highs in the low 50s, average lows in the low 30s. So with these high probabilities above average temperatures, you're talking about highs probably in the 60s, maybe close to 70 in a few instances. I certainly think that's in the cards for sometime between holiday and the new year. So right now, your Christmas Day forecast trends For Charlotte, trending up, low to mid 60s for highs and dry. In fact, I think we could see upper 60s going into Christmas. And just for perspective, here's what the last 5 Christmas days look like in Charlotte. 56 last year, 61 2 years ago, 2022, I could never forget that. Frigid day.
That was 13, so cold.
Yeah, 39. The next day it was like 9, Christmas, the day after Christmas morning, and going into Christmas, the 26th, I think we only got to like 35. We had rolling blackouts because there was so much power usage because of the cold and it being a holiday and everybody at home. So that was definitely cold. And then you go the year before, it was 71. So we've had a little bit of everything. We could be closer to that 71 for sure than the 39. This weekend, kind of a preview of that, mid-50s on Saturday, mid-60s on Sunday. Home Panthers game against Tampa Bay, huge game. Had to laugh. Nick Carboni was interviewing their sports anchor, and he said it was going to be different weather for Tampa Bay. I was like, nope, it's actually going to be pretty close to Tampa Bay. It's really not that cold. I wish it was colder for them because it would have made for a more interesting game. It's actually going to be no weather issues at all. As we look at your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, rain on Thursday into Friday. Saturday, Charlotte Descent, home game, Checkers home game. Great weather there. Little cooler on Monday, but then I'll go 10 days in the future because we can show you this long range now. Gets us through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Would you look at Christmas Eve? 68 degrees. That's the day we could be near 70. Now, again, we're still 8-9 days out from this, so there's still some time for change. But the trend and the pattern has been warming for those 2 days and at least dry. So I would count on at least 60s, morning lows in the 40s and 50s. And if you're hoping for a white Christmas, stop hoping because it's not going to happen this year. And like I always say, it's a generational thing. 4 times in recorded history. The last time, 2010, that was a spectacular Christmas. And that also was our coldest first 2 weeks of December all time. This year's the 23rd, so kind of some parallels there. Stick around. We'll talk more about this, atmospheric rivers, and the Starlinks coming up with Tim Buckley in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Tim Buckley joins you as always from WFMY up in Greensboro. And we're going to start with some West Coast weather tonight, Tim, because our weather is actually pretty tranquil. We warmed up quite a bit today. We jumped like 20 degrees in some of our area today. So quite the turnaround from the frigid cold air that we had yesterday at this time.
it's getting a little better. We're thawing out day by day a little bit. It's cooling off again right now. Some of our cities are already back into the 30s pretty quickly. But overall, the trend will be your friend the next couple days, getting into the 60-degree range again. So we're thawing. And the West Coast, like you said, is really busy with a lot going on.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to start tonight, because we're going to talk atmospheric rivers. Yes, that's a real term, and it's been around for a long time, and actually a lot more research has gone into it, Tim. But, boy, the Pacific Northwest has just been clobbered. And you could see even tonight they've got an atmospheric river, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a flow of moisture coming in from the Pacific and plowing right into the West Coast. We get these on the East Coast from time to time. We've had them in flooding events and tropical events, but the West Coast, these are pretty big events. They cause a lot of their flooding, a lot of their big snowstorms and the Sierras and Cascades, and actually responsible for a lot of the water they need. But this is too much water, Tim, and some of the images you're looking at right now are of flooding. A lot of the rivers are flooding, and we've seen some levee breaches. Unfortunately, we're all too familiar with that kind of stuff here in the Carolinas. But it's unrelenting, Tim, and it looks like another atmospheric river is going to impact them over the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, it's really pretty scary to see, and the pictures speak for themselves. Whenever you see flooding like that, you know what they're dealing with. And like you said, Brad, we've certainly seen that plenty of times on our side of the country. But the setup it's kind of suffocating, because in a way you just continue to have that moisture aimed at you. And so what you really need to happen is either shut off the moisture or at least get it to pivot a little bit and angle it a different way, because until then, you're not going to get that rain to stop happening. And this is just a really bad pattern for Washington State. But I think also it'll be shifting a little farther south, too, as we go into the next couple of days.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I was just telling James here that for folks that don't know, I've been to quite a few West Coast weather conferences, and one of the fascinating things about atmospheric rivers is they rank them. They have a category scale, AR 1 through 5. And if you could bring up my laptop, James, I'll show this real quick. So what they do, and it's kind of cool. Well, the color looks horrible on that. But you could see on the left, this is the maximum AR scale in the last 7 days. And you can see all those orange dots on the coast. I'll try to make it bigger here. Those orange dots are showing they've had AR 4, which is on the scale from 1 to 5. That's right near the top. But if we scroll over to the right, you'll see coming up, and Tim just alluded to this, there will be another atmospheric river over the next day or so, through basically 16th through the 23rd, that will max out about AR4, some AR3, but it actually shifts a little further south into parts of northern California and more of Oregon. This is really good news for skiers in the Tahoe area, because they're probably going to get feet and feet of snow. But it looks like it does shift a little further south. It's pretty cool research, and this helps the water managers and the public out there kind of prepare for these, Tim, when they use these AR scales to kind of categorize these, so people kind of know how bad this event will. The best way I could describe it, it's like, think of it as a category for a hurricane, and in this case it has to do with the amount of moisture coming in. So it's a pretty cool scale, and one of the nice things about it, if you scroll down, you can click on a point on the map, and it actually gives you a nice mediagram showing when the worst weather or rainfall and what scale it's going to be over certain areas. So very useful tool if you ever are interested in West Coast weather. That is a great tool, and that's actually hosted on, I think, the Western Water page. I'm going to scroll up to the top and show you. It's the Center for Western Weather and Water Extreme. So pretty cool product out there. And we mentioned last week, Tim, that the hurricane hunters have actually done research missions into these atmospheric rivers. So in some cases, this is like the West Coast equivalent of hurricanes that we would be used to here on the East Coast.
Yeah, it really is. And really interesting research, like you alluded to. I was at a conference in San Diego a couple years ago, and the whole joke was like, well, you guys don't get weather out here. And that was one of the huge topics that they mentioned, because the Scripps Institute out there kind of leads the way in a lot of these atmospheric river categories. And they really were talking about just how hugely impactful they are, especially for Southern California, because that's more of a dry climate. That can really account for the majority of the rainfall of the whole year, is just these couple events. events. But for the Pacific Northwest, of course, this is a bad one already. And, just looking at the 7-day forecast rain totals up there, I mean, it looks like almost everybody is going to get an additional, 3 to 5 inches at least. But the bigger ones will probably see still over 10 inches of rain, basically anywhere from San Francisco up to Seattle over the next couple of weeks. This is just a general product here, but you can see who's going to be getting it, and it's over a very wide area over the next week.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Tim, as you know, this is such an important part of the water supply on the West Coast. When they have the mega droughts that they've had in the past decade or so, it's because they haven't had these atmospheric rivers to help replenish the water supply. So this is really, I think California is a fascinating climate because of this. It is a climate of extremes. It's mega drought, it's flooding, it's wildfires. I think California weather is very underrated, and sometimes it changes over very short distances, and this extends up in the Pacific Northwest. You have a large body of water like the Pacific Ocean and giant mountains. You're always going to have fascinating weather, but that map is really telling, Tim, because if you look at the whole country, that's where all the rain is going to be in the country. It's on the West Coast right now. Look at that view. I mean, that really kind of tells you all that is happening on the West Coast and northern California through Oregon and Washington State. I was looking because I'm going skiing in 2 weeks in Deer Valley out in Utah, and I was telling James this too. They've not had a lot of moisture further south. It's one of the slowest starts to the ski season, and Deer Valley has like 208 runs. There's only 8 runs open right now, and it's the week before Christmas. So we're hoping some of that moisture gets further south to help the skiers, but they're hoping it as well. They've been trying to make snow to get things going. So this is really vital to not only the water supply, but for the recreation that happens on the West Coast as well.
Pretty interesting, and hopefully you'll have good enough runs out there with your skiing and everything like that. But I'd imagine, the snow totals. We've heard a lot about the flooding, of course. The snow totals in like the Olympic mountains and the Cascades and everything. It's got to be insane. I mean, someone, like you were saying before, someone's got to be getting 10 feet of snow out of this thing.
Yeah, I'll be in Tahoe in January, and it's always crazy. It's like they'll go through one of these and get like. We're talking like feet. We're talking like double digit, 10, 12, 13 feet. And it's crazy to see their snow removal. But the water and the flooding has been the big story so far, Tim. I do think it's going to shift to snow eventually. And our affiliate out there, King TV in Seattle, did a story today about some of the flooding going on. And this was due to a levee breach. They actually had to do evacuations in some apartments because a levee broke on one of the rivers.
They're saying natural disaster, so I mean, only right.
At this Auburn apartment complex, the message is clear.
It says, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate the property immediately. An evacuation has been ordered due to flooding conditions. For your safety, please evacuate the property immediately.
The city has ordered nearly 1,000 people to evacuate. Residents are packing what they can and getting out fast.
I woke up at like 4, I read the email, and I've been packing since, and we're just now getting out.
It's not easy if you're trying to leave by car. Floodwaters are deep and unpredictable.
Her car actually broke down through this water the other day.
I drove through it.
I drove through the water and it flooded my car and stalled it.
But fortunately, people here have a friendly neighbor. This is AJ.
I just do this for my hobby and stuff and helping.
He's been towing people out of the water and fixing cars the past few days.
I don't know, I'm Christian.
This is the 5th car he's fixed today alone. It isn't even noon yet.
I was heading to the store and I seen people, they were just driving through the water over there. And then I was like, bro, you're gonna get stuck? He got stuck.
My car gone.
Some people weren't so lucky.
So I took a left and I was like, the water's not that high. So I was like, you know what, maybe I can maneuver through it. Nope, it started flooding the car, the engine stopped working.
Some residents on higher floors say they'll stay put, but most people aren't sticking around. They'll be at friends, families, or in hotel rooms, hoping this all ends soon.
I'm just hoping it don't, we could at least be back before Christmas.
Yes, that's the hope.
After Christmas, I ain't.
That's not fair.
Hey, come on, let's go, bye-bye.
In Auburn, Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
Yeah, just dealing with a ton of water there in the Pacific Northwest, and with another atmospheric river on the way, it does seem like it's going to be a tough couple of days out there. But part of this pattern, Tim, and I'm glad you brought this up earlier because I have a couple friends in Sacramento. The Central Valley of California has been under this ridge to the south of the atmospheric river, right, where they've had this inversion set up for the past couple of days, and they've had something called the Tool fog, which I think the fog has been there for like 10 days in a row or something like that. They have not seen the sun at all, which is just wild, and it's been locked in. The satellite image you see right there is just all those low clouds in the Central Valley, which is known for agriculture. We got avocados grown there, almonds. It's like such a great area for fruits, vegetables, and nuts, and even wine country there's on the left there as you go into the Bay Area. But because they're this low-lying area trapped between two mountain ranges, Tim, they get these inversions this time of year, and they can get locked in for days.
And to kind of put this in perspective, just how big that valley is, it's like 400 miles long or something, right? Like it's bigger than many of the small states in our country, that area. So it's an enormous bank of fog here, and it's been persistent essentially most of December. Almost every day of December so far. I'm looking at Fresno data. They've been in the 40s every hour of the month of December. Oof. Except for the first day. So, think about just your psyche, and we are hardened East Coast folk. Yeah. Think about Californians and maybe not seeing the sun for like 2 weeks. That's not something that you're used to, and I'm sure it definitely feels like you're in like a Groundhog Day movie or something out that way, where it's just the same thing, not raining, not doing anything but being foggy over and over again. It's just a weird phenomenon that I hadn't really heard much about before.
Yeah, only reason I know, I'm on a group chat with a friend, and she's in the Sacramento station out there, Tamaraberg. She's originally from Ohio, and she was complaining like they haven't seen the sun forever. And I said, oh, it should remind you of winter in Ohio, because that's kind of the way you grew up with that lake effect cloud cover. But it is crazy because you think California, they get the sun all the time, especially in the Central Valley, and to see it lock in like this for a long time. So they might be looking forward to the atmospheric river, because it might help scour out some of the clouds and give them a break from this. But that's just wild to see, Tim. Well, a lot of weather happening on the West Coast. As crazy as our weather's been, it seems almost equally as crazy on the West Coast. Something we want to talk about tonight, we talked about it briefly last night. We had the Starlinks fly overhead tonight, Tim, and both of us were kind of questioning how bright they were going to be. They were certainly harder to see tonight, but you had some viewers actually pick them out and give us some great video. Explain where this came from and what we're seeing right here, Tim.
Yeah, so this is video from Dwayne Young. He lives up in Stokes County. He's always on top of the Starlinks. I got to tell you, he's usually texting me saying, Tim, don't forget they're coming again tonight. So we appreciate Dwayne for doing that. But this is up near the Hanging Rock area. And what you're seeing, same thing as last night, literally dozens of these rolling right in a row and taking about 3 or 4 minutes to kind of complete the pass. Had some other viewers text and say that they saw them as well. So they were visible. And Brad, we were wondering if they would still be bright enough. I don't think they were quite as bright as last night, but they still were bright enough to be seen. Probably the last time of the week, I would guess. Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like most of the people now I know that saw them were in much rural areas with no light pollution, a little further north where the sun set quicker than it did down by us. Because we had a little bit of twilight, it was hard to see. But they're spreading out a little bit. Even from yesterday, they're still clustered, but yesterday they were like really close together. You could actually see them starting to spread out a little bit. And what's going to happen here over the next couple of days, they will spread out even more, and they'll start going into a configuration where you won't see them. Most people think that those lights are actually emitted by the satellite. It's just reflected light off the solar panels. And when the solar panels get shifted a certain direction, they won't glint the sunlight back. The map you're looking at right here, this is from my computer, Tim. This is it's a cool map I use. I track them in real time. Those are all the Starlink satellites in orbit. Just for perspective, there are 9,355 Starlinks currently in orbit, and the goal is to have 20 to 30,000. And so what we saw was a string like this. This is a recent launch here. It's over the central part of the southern Atlantic. That's what they look like when they're close together. And you can see that chain going there. If you kind of rotate around the world, you'll see a couple other chains that are somewhat still together. And those are ones that are after recent launches. They'll spread out, and then they'll get into this orbit where you can see you don't really see them. But look at all those satellites, and that's why you have such fast internet now when you go to rural areas. I mean, a lot of astronomers hate this because if you take nighttime pictures, it's hard not to take a picture now without getting these satellites in your frame. Even when I've done some telescope astrophotography, if I'm watching it in real time, I can see a Starlink pass by every couple of minutes. That's how frequent they go by.
It's a little staggering and a little jarring just to see it displayed like that, just how many there are all over the place. And thank goodness they're able to deflect the panels and make sure that we're not seeing them all the time, because that really would be a lot of pollution of light, at least, in the sky. It's already very unnatural when you see one. You wouldn't want to see that every single night with so many of them up there. But kind of amazing what's become of the night sky now. Wow.
Yeah. It's and they're in very low Earth orbit. These are about the lowest orbit you could have a satellite, so they tend to degrade. And when we see space junk, it's usually one of these satellites that is coming back down to Earth. Real quickly, Tim, before we run out of time, let's talk about Christmas, because now we're definitely in that window, in that 8-9 day window, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. It certainly looks like things are trending a little warmer than even when we saw yesterday. And there's an outside chance, I think some of our southern counties on Christmas Eve could be close to 70 degrees. That's the kind of warmth we're talking about.
Yeah, a lot different than now. It's definitely trending toward warmth and away from, there's not really chill to be found, at least not here. So I think you're right that going toward Christmas Eve, we can say probably with some certainty that we're likely to be pretty dry both of those days, and likely to probably be at or certainly above average would both be more likely than not.
Yeah, if this was summer, we'd probably call this a heat dome, because it's kind of what it looks like. And I was looking at some of the temperatures over Texas and Oklahoma. There's going to be some 80s there in the southern plains and in parts of Texas. So this, luckily we're not under that part, because that's a little ridiculous, 80s. But 70 in Charlotte, by the way, on Christmas Day, it's happened 6 times, which is more than it snowed. So it's not unheard of, but the average high is 53. So last year we were in the 50s. The last time we had a 70 was 2021, which was ironically the year before the deep freeze. So it's happened in the last 5 years. We've hit 70 on Christmas Day. And I don't think it'll happen on Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve, we might see Chester, Rock Hill, down that area might be pretty close in a few spots. I'm going 68 on Christmas Eve here, so I'm not going to be shocked to see that coming up next week. So we'll track that. Tim and I obviously will have updates on this. Stay tuned, because it's not set in stone yet. It's still 8 to 9 days out. Thanks for joining us tonight. Stick around. We've got more WCNC Plus coming up.